This is Everyday Ethics, presented by the Maston Foundation, where we dive into the values that guide how we live every day. Here's your host, Dr. David Morgan.
Hi, I'm David Morgan, Executive Director of the Maston Foundation for Christian Ethics. I want to share with you in the next few minutes about a new project by the Maston Foundation, a podcast called Everyday Ethics. Now, I've been thinking about what we might do in this, not just in recent months, but the need for this podcast and for the material and approach that we're going to take goes back to the time maybe half a dozen years ago when I was still a pastor. At that time, I recognized the need of my congregation to have people converse with each other, to have dialogue, to listen to each other rather than simply to talk around each other when we engaged in some difficult discussions. So I invited some guests in, and they led us in a workshop entitled Conversations in an Age of Civic Incivility. Several years after that, I joined a colleague in a workshop for a national denomination. It was entitled Seeking Common Good in a Jaded, Exhausted, Tired, Worn-Out World. And even though some years have passed since I have engaged in both of those, I still feel the need is necessary for us to address these issues. An issue that I think is essential for us to regain trust and common good in our communities. Now, from time to time, I mention this to folks, and some of the normal responses I will get will be, well, I get glazed looks, like not another conversation on ethics, or I'll get people that roll their eyes. I've had people say, what do you even mean when you start talking about Christian ethics? And if you did, what does it matter? Well, that's one of the things that Everyday Ethics is going to do. We're going to address some of the misconceptions that people have when they start thinking about ethics. We're going to provide some information. We're going to provide good conversation on these issues. We're going to provide simple, yet not simplistic solutions. We're going to provide relevant information. We're going to keep it as practical as we possibly can. We're going to seek to find the common good, and we're going to seek to find common ground. We're going to listen and converse and laugh and lament. And we're going to see if we can make a difference. Now, when we began to put this together some time ago, we began to think of what kind of things we really wanted to convey. And one of the things that jumped out first was we indeed want it to be relevant. We want to address the real needs that people have. Quickly, we came to a conclusion also that we live in a world where, even though it's divided and polarized, we have more in common than those things that separate us. We realize the importance of good conversation, and we want to have dialogue and conversation. You're not going to find any heated arguments among us. You may have differences. That's good. We welcome that. But we want to listen and see if we can make a difference. We're also going to realize how necessary it is for us to reach out, to do the work, to make a difference. We as a foundation, we as individuals on the foundation are reaching out now, trying to make a difference in our communities. And we're going to ask you to join us, perhaps even work together on occasions to find ways that we can do the work together to make the necessary changes. And sadly, podcasts like this coming from Christian ethicists and the Christian Ethics Foundation, well, it's going to be educational, sure. But I hope it never becomes lecture or boring or dull. For ethics is at the heart of what we do, the decisions we make, and the persons that we become. And that's what we're actually going to be talking about our first year. We're going to start with that basic misconception. What is ethics? We're going to talk about what makes up an individual, the characteristics and qualities that we have that cause us to act or think in certain ways. We're going to look at values that might make our world better: kindness, humility, justice, love, and ones like that. And yeah, we really don't want everyday ethics to bog down in issues. But certainly issues are a part of what ethics is, and we're actually going to talk about some of those in our first season under broad categories of sex, money, and power. Now, we're not ever going to run from issues, I'll promise you that, but they're not going to be the driving force behind everyday ethics. So I invite you, join us. Begin the journey with us. Help us to forge the journey as we seek to find a better way to make our world, our community, to make ourselves better folks. Everyday Ethics launches next week. Hope to see you then. Thank you.
Everyday Ethics is brought to you by the T.B. Maston Foundation, which seeks to proclaim the abiding relevance of the whole gospel of Jesus Christ and provide support for the study and application of Christian ethics. For more information or to donate, visit tbmaston.org.